the City of Angels is black and gold. You are listening to the Heart of LAFC podcast. And now, Joseph Zacher.
Greetings, Los Angeles. Welcome to episode 335 of the Heart of LAFC podcast. That's right, we are back for another episode. This one we're going to call Snow Job for very obvious reasons as we, discuss the weather event in Utah, but also talk about actual football that can be played this weekend against SKC. On top of that, fines and all that fun stuff and other, of course, community news. So it's going to be a busy one. Of course, we can't really get this thing going without our full crew. And guess what? Good news. We have our full crew as Araceli has returned from New York. Tony is in the mix. And Bam, the one-armed bandit, is here doing his thing. We'll talk about that too. We love you, Bam. He is recovering, but he has made it on. Again, it worked out. Everybody made it on. So let's get to it. Araceli, how are you doing tonight after a huge adventure?
I'm actually doing very well. Yes. I mean, as you guys know, I've been in New York for a minute. So finally back home, at least for now, because I'm sure as you're all well aware, MLS is now in full swing. Next Pro officially begins next weekend. And it's just been pure chaos on my end, at least, but in a good way, of course. Otherwise, I mean, everything's just been going well.
Excellent. Yes, we love the pictures that we saw from over there, and we know you're putting in the work. There's no doubt about it, and can't wait for the updates as we get this thing moving today. Tony, how are you doing, sir? Are you ready for this?
No. Doing all right. It was a fun, long game is the best way to say it. Shout out to everyone who stayed at their watch parties and watch it. Shout out to the people who actually were there and stayed there, chanted drums. But yeah, it was a game that we can talk about later. And at the end of the day, it's no excuses. It really isn't. Like, it is what it is, and we just got to keep moving forward.
Yeah, if we're short 3 points at the end of this year for winning a supporter shield, yeah, you'll hear me. But we'll definitely move onto it, and I feel sorry for whoever we play next, which we'll talk about, because I think the guys are gonna get a lot off their chests on the field. So that should be fun. Bam, how are you doing, sir? We see that you are surviving. All is well, sir?
As well as it can be. Had a workplace accident on Monday at work. Involved me getting bit by a dog. So I had to go in last night for them to do a surgical clean out on it because it looked like it got infected. So got home today. Wasn't going to miss this episode. Had to do what I do to get on to see you guys.
That's dedication, people. Thank you, Bam. Doing what he does best, man. I love it. I love it. From halfway around the world, we're getting the job done. And of course, me, I am here. I have survived. I've barely woke up, but I am here. It's on. It's happening. All right, so let's just get right into it. Let's not avoid it. I think the big news, of course, the breaking news, I guess, was Dolo got suspended, or not suspended, but fined $10K for, using his mouth like most people do. And expressing the truth. But hey, I guess that gets you fined in this funny little league that we all deal with. Which brings us to the game itself, the RSL match. So what happens? Well, we go to RSL. The brave members of the 3252 and beyond for LAFC showed up en masse, doing their thing louder than what they do up there, which is beautiful. You guys are amazing. We have a weather delay at the beginning of this match for, I guess, in this case, wind and stormy weather. They finally start to play, and it lasts 4 minutes before we have another delay, this time for lightning, which usually would kind of call it, right? You have 2 weather delays in a row. That kind of ends your day. Of course, no. And we get this long, weird delay that the timing, let's be honest, is not as forthright as it should be, and you kind of have to search it out on X to get the information, because Apple TV, they weren't helping you with a timer or anything like that. They just kind of went to their goofy song and screen as you waited for the game to happen again. And so we finally get there, And lo and behold, we went from a game on beautiful grass, weather not so great, to snow bowl and beyond. Of course, for us geeks that love snow games and go, oh, this is great, this is entertaining, an orange ball, which I think I joked about last episode. All fine and dandy. I did. I didn't account for the wind chill. We'll say that. Yeah, game on. Guys had to play after a very long delay and false starts. But game on. And of course, there were a lot of Hardy fans that were there. Good on them for making it happen. To actually show up and stay and ride this thing out. So that they, of course, honorable from all of them. But yeah, game on. We had to deal with this nonsense. Looking, of course, at the lineups. I know we'll talk about the lineups. We went with the same thing as last time. No major changes, as you would expect. Even with the delay, didn't affect it. They went out there to play. On the other side, well, they went with a 4-2-3-1, more of a counterattacking setup. Again, in the snow, what do you expect? You play defensive, you survive, and you move on. And you kind of release the skill, right? You just get funky with it, and you do what you got to do to survive. And that's what Real Salt Lake did. Of course, Zach McMath was in goal. They had Glad and Silva as their center backs. No shock there. Brody and Hidalgo as their outside backs, with Ojeda and Anelli as their defensive midfielders. Crooks was in the number 10 spot. Luna and Gomez were their wingers, or their outside midfielders. And of course, our old friend Arango, yeah, he was their man up front. Game kicks off. It gets funky real quick. I will say that we did take the play early, an early period there. But then as the game descended into madness, the wind got crazier to the point where we could hardly even see the game on TV. And from those I've heard that were there, they couldn't see across the field completely either, including the coaching staff. Things just descended into madness. And by the time the first half ended, we were down 3-0. Snow in our faces and all. That's just how it went. I think I told the guys earlier in the point was like, hey, if we get out with only 2, we might have a chance. But when it got to 3, yeah, all bad things. Tony, I'll throw to you highlights and lowlights for this thing, which I know mostly low. Highlights were how crazy it looked. Of course, lowlights, the match itself. So I'll hand it over to you. The fatal blows of the first half, sir.
What, the first 3 minutes, Thunder stop the game and then continue later on. Shout out to Bam for predicting snow. Shout out for Joseph for predicting the orange ball. And I almost thought it
the Euro ball, not even an
Yeah.
MLS ball. Yes,
the Euro ball. And at one point I thought, I was like, hey, I'm watching this game from work. I'm like, I might actually make it to the watch party for this one. But because of the delays. But of course, with all the snow and everything, it didn't take long till after the reset for the 18th minute. Carlos Gomez with a goal. Kind of, again, Campos' fault. He kind of got taken out and then left Gomez pretty much one-on-one with the keeper and ends up scoring the goal. Atuesta with the yellow card, 35th minute. And then again in the 41st minute, again, Gomez, Campos again. Unfortunately, he was the bearer of bad news for, I would say, all 3 goals. Scores again, and then the last one, pretty much the dagger, which maybe we could have came back, but because we had chances in the second half. And 45th plus in the pretty much the 50th minute in that half, or 45th plus 5 minutes extra time. Chicho Arango scores the dagger again. Campos is at fault for the setup for that one. And the only other thing to talk about really after that, because like second half was a little bit better, but the only funny thing to talk about in the second half that we can bring up is the red, not red, to yellow to red.
Well, I will say this. The reason they did it that way, if it goes direct red, chance of a 2-game suspension, right? Extended, because you went direct red even though you were sitting on a yellow card. But if it's just the second yellow, yeah, you'll get your 1-game suspension and you move on. So and fines are different, right? So it costs the player something different, because you get suspended, it costs you money. So ultimately, by making that decision, because it was probably the right decision to make, yeah, second yellow, move on. No big deal. It's just, again, with these replacement referees trying to figure this out with upstairs, right? The guy's calling the shots upstairs. It's just slow and delayed, and it's like an old guy with a remote trying to figure it out, man. It's like, how's this thing going in? Oh yeah, there it goes. Now it's working. So that's pretty much what we're dealing with these referees. But ultimately, they're not. Thankfully, they haven't been the story, I'd say. They're not dictating the matches. They're just kind of riding along with it, which I'm okay with. I'd rather have that than somebody making a spectacle out of themselves. So, yeah. Would I rather have our refs back? Yes, of course. We want professionals out there all the time. But, again, I don't think they're the story. The story was that nonsense on the field itself. And what happened in the first half, of course, for Campos, I'm pretty sure that might have been the first time he was actually in snow. Don't quote me on that, but dude, he's never had to play in a snow condition. And I don't think anybody in this game actually played under those conditions. Those were very, very unique conditions. It wasn't just snow, it was more than snow. For me, the wind was the bigger story than anything else. Okay, cool. You have snow, right? We saw the US beat Costa Rica in a snow game, but it was pretty dropped out and level, and it wasn't snowing like crazy while it was going, except for, flat drop of snow. This was everything blowing in one direction, and you happen to be the ones facing it. You look at Lloris's face, and he's just covered in this stuff. You can't really function on the defensive side if the wind is in your face that hard with snow falling. It's just not a good thing. And you could see in the second half, even though it was more gentle in the second half, RSL didn't leave their half very much in the second half, right? They just kind of survived because they had a 3-0 lead. That was pretty much how it had to be. You're going in that direction with it in your face. It's hard to function. Of course, if you have a 3-0 lead, it's easier to protect and survive, even though we did hit the post a couple times and could have come back. But yeah, that first half nonsense was it for us. Call it what you will. Oh, snow game, snow game. It was more than the snow. It was the actual weather pattern and the snow and the wind involved as well that really affected how the game could be played. And it, of course, our style of play dictates playing on the ground a whole lot, pinging the ball, moving guys in the wings. That's completely just nullified with that weather condition. One-on-ones, right? Isolating people, you can't do that in the snow. It just doesn't. It doesn't work. Slop, it wins the game in this case. And for RSL, this is what their third win ever for us in their own house. They need an act of God to get past us. Good for them, but they'll have to face us on an actual field and grass the next time we play. Bring it. We'll see how that plays itself out. I'll go to you, Bam. Your thoughts on this nonsensical match? And you think Dolo was? I'll throw it to you. Was he justified in saying what he said?
Oh, I did say it was great waking up at 5:55 a.m., checking my phone, seeing Twitter go, game's been delayed 2 hours. Awesome. Went back to sleep for 2 hours, woke up. Well, put the game on while I'm still laying in bed, watch 3 minutes, then go, rain delay. Awesome. Time to get up, have a shower, that kind of stuff. Then as the game went on and on and on, yes, it started out all fun, all laughs going, playing in snow. And then to me, it just got too dangerous. At what stage does player safety become a thing? What I would have liked to seen was, especially at halftime, Dolo just refused to send the guys out. It was too dangerous at that stage. You're down 3-0. It's very dangerous to send players out there in close to blizzard conditions. I don't understand why they would do it. Now, if I was RSL, what I'd be doing is this whole week getting commercial grade snow machines set up around the stadium and playing every game in those conditions. That's what I'd do. Because you can win in those conditions. You can't win in many other conditions, but you can win in that. Every home game, make a blizzard like that, and you'll be guaranteed to win.
I can't wait. I'm with you. I can't wait to play them again. I cannot wait to play them again. Because you know what LAFC is going to do to them. This will be a playoff game. Honestly, it'll be the chippiest game you'll see all year. There will be revenge, and it will be ugly, and I guarantee a blowout. I'll just say it right now. I don't care who we field. They're going to take it to these dudes. Especially the way they're chirping after this. It's on, man. The Snow Angels and all that crap. Yeah, good one, Chicho. You're not going to get love when you come to our house for that nonsense. There are ways to celebrate. There are ways not to celebrate. It's on now, dude. Good job with that. Now I got to live with it. I will say this, just so you guys know, because everybody's like, that doesn't get suspended for snow. Did anybody watch the Bundesliga? I just want to know, because there were 2 matches suspended this year, both involving FC Union Berlin, both involving snow and ice conditions. What? Yeah, and one was at Bayern Stadium. That is an all-around surrounded stadium, right? So the wind isn't howling directly through, and they still call the match. Why? Traffic safety. Consideration of the fans. What a thought, you know? And condition of the game. And these are on fields that are heated, mind you, and they still called a game. We know RSL's cheap. There's no way that field's heated. No way. But you could see the way it accumulated. But that's that. What's done is done. They've got their thing. They get to own that 3 points. Congratulations on that. We move on and punish the rest of the league after this. We'll get that 10 grand back other ways for Dolo as well. Araceli, did you get a good chance to watch the game?
I did not, unfortunately. And I will say very quickly, as someone from the Midwest, I do enjoy snow, but at the same time, as someone who's been through multiple blizzards and seen practically what was blizzard condition, in my opinion, that game was just purely unsafe. And even sporting games in the past where they've had heavy rainstorms or snowstorms, those matches have been called. So I am very kind of curious of what the ultimate decision was to continue that match. But unfortunately, I wasn't unable to watch when it restarted, because at that point I was already on the road going to Sporting's home opener. So I had to rely very heavily on Twitter for the updates.
Yeah, tough stuff. And I'll go to you, Tony. I mean, what's your takeaway from this match? Because tactically and pointing fingers at players, I have nothing to say. I really don't, because it wasn't a proper football match. But where are you at?
Both teams had to play on it. At the end of the day, that's it. It is what it is. You can't they can chirp, let them chirp. Again, this is their second time. So this is their third time beating us. One at home for us at our place, and this is their second time beating us at their place. So it took a snowstorm for the second win in their home stadium to beat us. But besides the point, there's again, if you're going to cancel it, cancel it. If you're not, then let's play on the game, move forward. It is what it is. There's no excuses. I understand the chirping and stuff like that. The comments by Dola is warranted, but again, it's excuses at the end of the day. But it was kind of you don't read the room, as MLS always does, and they are very weak and very the lights are not tough enough skin to take criticism from anybody. So I may get heat for that, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? Shout out to the people again for all fans who stayed out there watching the game and everything. But it was whoever could score, and whoever made the least amount of mistakes could get it in, and that's all it was. Nothing else to say. You can't really analyze this game. It's hard.
Snowflakes in Sandy, Utah. Snowflakes at the home office. Oh well. Done with that. Proved he was right. He wouldn't have found them otherwise. So there goes that. All right, we'll move on from that. We'll get back into the actual football that we're going to see this weekend. I'm going to go back to you, sir. Before we go into reactions to the fans, do you want to go to community first, or we just want to hear it from our faithful?
No, community. It's like I said, it's really short. It's a home game, so FanFest is back for the first time this season. So for any you guys who are listening and aren't part of a supporter group, or want to have fun and everything, FanFest is going to be available again this time again. It's cool. It's right next to us, and if you want to mosey on down, like I said, everyone all the supporter groups will be having their tailgates, some really early, and it'll be fun to get to know everybody, see everyone again for the first actual real tailgate of the season, because the first one was very early and not many people could go. So besides that, 3252 memberships are open, so if you haven't signed up yet, make sure you do. There are 3 tiers to this, so whichever you prefer, make sure you pay that. Sign which SG you are a part of, and if you're not if you're unaffiliated with any SG and just want to be part of 3252 to help out for tifos, drum repair, flag repair, everything like that, you're more than welcome to. As well as I forgot to start the season off with the right foot on this one, and apologies to myself. The Mo Fascio futsal court is still going on, so whatever you can donate, donate what you can for a good cause, and still trying to get this field built.
Yeah, way longer than we ever anticipated, but hey, we got to keep plodding forward, keep making the donations. We will definitely get there one day. It will happen, guys. It will happen. Takes a lot of patience, but we'll get there for sure. All right. With that said, I'm going to move on to LAFC2 updates. Araceli, you ready for this one? What do we got? What's going on with LAFC2? I hear there were some signings too, right?
Honestly, I have not really heard any update regarding any staffing or player signings. So if you've heard anything, please tell me, because LAFC2 has been unbearably quiet this off season, which I hesitate to say is no surprise, but maybe they'll finally start announcing more now that the season itself is officially starting next weekend. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, MLS Next Pro is back for its 3rd season, and LAFC 2 will actually host Minnesota United 2 for their home opener next Sunday, March 17th at Titan Stadium. Kickoff is for 1 p.m. Pacific time. If you're unable to make the match, because naturally it's St. Patrick's Day, the game will be streamed on Next Pro's website. So if you're able to make the match, or like I said, if you can't, there is a way to stream it. Unfortunately, that's all I really have in regards to updates. Other than that, you know me, I always do my best to try to keep you guys updated, either on here or through the socials. But as I kept, mentioning last season, I highly encourage you to go to these games. They're a lot of fun to attend, and given that some of the LAC2 players did sign with the first team, you never know. You really could be watching the future.
Well, it's going to need to be, that's for sure, and a lot of back and forth contracts. The one thing we know for certain, though, LAFC2 will not be playing for the U.S. Open Cup. A little bit better there. The big team will have to play. Not all the big teams are going to play. Kudos to USL sides. I hope they beat all the second teams as soon as they possibly can and knock them out. And as for us, we need to go all the way. So there is that. Cool. Let's move on to the Black and Gold Vinyl Club Minute. I'm going to throw this to you, Bam, as we go into this. We decided to be a little bit ironic with it. What can you say? So you have the floor, sir.
All right, so for this last game, we're going to go back to 2006 when Red Hot Chili Peppers released the album Stadium Arcadium, and we're going to go with the song Snow brackets Hey Ho, because we gotta.
White as snow. Yes. Yeah. So that's what we're going with. Figure what the heck, have fun with it. So yes, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Snow. Yeah. There you go. So there it is. All right. So before we get into the preview, let's get to you guys. We got a few comments here. We always love hearing from you guys. So let's get to it. Ooh, who was the first on here? SSA Ali. Hey, a new first post. There we go. Welcome, welcome. We have Jason Ariano. Hey, brother. Love seeing when you can pop on here. He says that the LA Kings can't hear you guys, but just have to throw my thoughts on the snow game. It's one and done. No one got hurt. RSL can't say the same thing, can they now? Yes, Jason. We move forward. Mendo, hello, all. Welcome back to Araceli. Love it. Mendo showing his love. Mendo says, I hope Shandola keeps whining if he'll get us to 3 straight MLS Cup finals. Dude, protect the boys. That's I think ultimately was doing there. But yeah, I don't care. We'll do a collection plate for him if we need to. Honesty's the best policy. Mendoza says snow type games are when free kicks and corners are valuable. We had a good run leading into the playoffs last year, netting goals. True that. He also says he doesn't like Chicho scoring on us on back-to-back matches. Exactly. For me, it's the celebration side of things too, as an old supporter. Like, oh, okay, I guess we're there. That's done with. Black and Gold Phil says this is an off week, or is there a pod schedule change? We usually do. Okay, so our pod's usually Thursday nights. That's usually it. Last week we couldn't do Thursday, so we pushed to Wednesday. We'll throw it back to you guys. What do you like better, Wednesdays or Thursdays? Those are the preferred days that we do them. Thursday tends to be like 95% of the time. So yeah, throw it to you guys. What do you like best? Throw it in the comments, because those are our preferred days. Thursday is usually the best one because most news comes out on Thursdays. But yeah, there you go. He also says, hoping for a home debut and goal from Martinez. Got him in my fantasy team. Hey, check you out. Martinez on the fantasy. You never know, man. Again, we have a lot of young players, a lot of young talent. Playing back at home should be fun this weekend, and I'm sure some will feature that we can't wait to see. Says Martinez, Mendoza looks promising. His success means Olvera will be bench or tandem, right? I mean, they could take turns if Wonga's on international duty or something like that as well. We have faith in the youngsters that they'll do something that too. So that is good news. The better they do, the better. And let's see, 7th Circle 138 is on here as well. Says finally catching you all live. Appreciate the podcast. We appreciate you for tuning in and checking out what we do, and ultimately listening to the podcast. We've been doing it since, forever, since this club was created. Before logos dropped, man. My time with this started during the Super Draft for the first season. So yeah,
Season 0.
Season 0. Yeah, we've been here forever. Cast and characters, definitely a few moved in, a few moved out. But again, it's the faithful. It's who's here. And we'll keep going because of you guys, ultimately, at the end of the time. So thank you for coming on. Black and Gold Phil says, either, just curious. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's when we can pull it off. That's when we do these episodes ultimately. But yeah, Thursday always will be the preferred time. I'll tell you guys that now. That just it works best for most of us. And relevant schedule, we get most information Thursdays. News dump day is Thursday for MLS, in case you haven't noticed. So yes, that too. All right, guys, those are the comments we see here. We will catch you guys towards the end of the episode as well. So we're going to keep this thing moving and talk about a very interesting game this weekend that Araceli has a lot of inside information on. No pressure at all. But yes, we were playing SKC this weekend. A team that ultimately has 2 draws going into this and could have had 2 wins. I mean, they've been looking competitive here. They've been looking real. They're sitting in 8th spot. We're sitting in 7th spots. 2 goals for, 2 goals against. But we've got a -2 goal differential. I think the only injuries I see so far, Bam, you want to go through injuries there? Do you see them there?
I
much.
did have them up. One moment. Where are they? I know they're only missing 2 with injuries from last, and they're fairly long injuries too. So for them, it is. Where is it? The Demby and Shelton.
Yeah. And Araceli, any other players that are maybes for this match?
As far as I understand, Remy Walter and Alanis Vargas are both questionable. And I find that interesting with Walter, given that he scored what should have been the winning goal this past weekend against Philadelphia. But the last that I've heard on him is that he's been put on kind of like a day-to-day basis and is expected to play this weekend. So we'll see on him. But
sure.
given if he is on the roster, he will be very dangerous in the midfield.
A huge addition to the side, that's for sure. Now, this past weekend they did play a 1-1 draw against the Philadelphia Union, who we all know the Philadelphia Union. They're like one of the league constants. They're always going to be a threat. They're always going to be relevant. That's how they're built, and well organized. The game ultimately tied 1-1 with a 19th minute goal by Remy Walter, and then Bedoya scored one in the 95th minute, if I'm reading that correctly, to break hearts in Kansas City. So close to win. And that was that, ending in a draw. Now, looking at the roster and looking who's available, it looks like this year they're playing a 4-3-3 at Kansas City, relying more on their wing play, outside play, overlap play, kind of like what we do here at LAFC. And I know, Araceli, you're seeing it. I mean, ultimately, they look a little more front foot these days, don't they?
No, absolutely. They definitely, appear to be attacking more in the wings, which isn't unusual for Sporting. That's kind of been their preferred attack lately. But given the last two matches, the first one being in Houston, I would just be very blunt. They played like trash. They could not hold possession. The Houston just trampled them. I'll be very honest with that. With Philadelphia, you kind of saw a little bit more of the same, but they were being at home and having home field advantage. I think it gave them more of a encouragement to play upfield, to get on the counter, and so going into this weekend, it honestly can go either way. They can either be great and rely heavily on the counter and lay back a little, or we're gonna see another Houston situation where they just get completely trampled.
Yeah. Now, interesting. The lineup, same cast of characters, right? The 4-3-3, same names. The only thing I noticed switch was Tommy and Walter switched what side of the field they were on, midfield. So that's the only big change I noticed from it. So ultimately, I'll just name off the players. Of course, Tim Melia is in goal, as he should be, right? He's the man for Kansas City. Valencia and Fontash, I say it right, or your center backs. Leibold and Davis were your outside backs. Adoya was your central midfielder, with Tommy and Walter as the outside midfielders. Again, they've swapped in the two games. Up top, of course, Pulido was your target man, with Russell and Salawi as your outside attacking wingers. Of course, Russell is the thorn in everyone's side. I'll just say that right now. The man has ways, and he finds ways. He can have a good game, a bad game. It doesn't really matter. He's dangerous. Doesn't matter. He will be dangerous. If he's on the field, he's a danger to your defense. He will create problems for you. He will keep you very honest in your approach. Same with Pulido, right? Target man and Salawi, who just work rate is there. That's what we see from them. I'll go to you so far. I mean, the other name I look at is Tommy, of course. Who stood out the most to you so far? Who's really been the one dictating play this season?
I think the one dictating play so far, it really has to be Jake Davis. By the way he's able to set up Tommy and Walter outside the box, it's just beautifully how he can cut in from the wings and get into those small spaces, really. Because as you pointed out, Polito is, obviously our main striker, but he has his moments, but Davis, he definitely is the character to really set up play.
So he's going to set up really high. I mean, again, he's their outside back. He's the right back,
Mhm.
but highly involved in the offense. Definitely creating overload situations, which of course young Campos for us is going to have to deal with, both Russell and Davis on his side. Yeah, he's going to be putting in some work again. At least this time he'll play on grass, but that's a lot of experience to deal with for a young defender. That overload should be expected, and it looks like Tommy, of course, was shifted to that side as well, so it was definitely an overload of the left back, left midfield situation. So this is what to expect. I mean, Davis, he does get back and forth rather quickly. I mean, he's not really a liability much in the back either, is he?
No, not as much.
No. Yeah, so it's right in there as well. Of course, Melia, how's Melia looking so far? I know he's had it up and down with injuries in the past. Back to vintage Melia?
Back to good old vintage Melia, the way we like him.
There it is. There it is. So expect some shot stopping. That is his strength. Always has been. He'll be in that mix. Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, again, any team that could take on Philadelphia and ultimately should have won against Philadelphia will be problems for you. It just will. And yes, I know the first game was rough, but let's be dead honest. The Houston Dynamo are not a bad team. They're a good team, right? They are a tough team, and at home even tougher. So opening day jitters, whatever you want to call it, they found themselves. Expect a competent team to look into this. Bam, you've had a chance to kind of look at these guys. Your thoughts on Kansas City coming into this?
Look, they've had 2 good 1-1 draws. Like, they should have won both of them, but there's only so much you can do against some good opponents. So they'll be trying to push for at least 3 points this game. But I think coming into LAFC with a 30-52 there behind our boys, it's going to be a hard ask for them. So for me, I don't think that they will be able to. They've got to really show up to do anything against us.
Yeah, I think if they're going to be pressing us hard and putting in that kind of work towards us, we are going to kill them on transition. I don't see it any other way. We're faster than we were last year. I can't say Kansas City is, right? I mean, like, a lot of guys are just a year older. I mean, we're looking at the lineup. Yes, there are some good additions, but speed game, I expect Kansas City to be the counterattack team this time. They're going to absorb and hit you on the counters themselves. That is the look. This team could be wild. Game could be one of those snore fests where both teams are playing super cautious. I don't anticipate that. I don't think they're built that way this year. But if they really want to go tit for tat, I think we have a huge advantage in this game. Tony, looking at the lineups, seeing where we're at, seeing what they're at, do you think we're going to be playing the same lineup for this thing?
I believe so. It's like we need to iron out who is like on par to keep starting. And from again, you can't. The first game, it was really done well. Unfortunately, we couldn't really gauge moving forward on what most of our players do. Well, except Martinez. Martinez was really good for those minutes that he was on. So I could see him actually getting a start here. But I could see us just moving on forward with the same lineup, maybe the addition of Martinez and taking somebody out.
So if it is Martinez, that would be Olvera, right? That would go out.
Maybe Bogus, to be honest.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about that top line. I'll go to you, Bam. Do you think there's a chance Bogus sits for this one and they bring one of the kids?
I see Bogus being moved into the midfield.
And who comes out?
Coming out for me, I'm going to say Tillman.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we've had that conversation already, right? The goal kind of set him up last game, but it wasn't the cleanest situation. And in this last match, it wasn't the greatest situation. Both sides of it, whether one was his back or one in front, that would make sense to see how that combination would work. We'll see. We'll definitely see if the youngsters get the runouts. Nothing against Bogus's play. I think he's done what he could do under the circumstances. That's for sure. But rotation is what it is. Backline, I don't see any changes. I think this is kind of unanimous here. We're going to see the same backline. I don't, no rush there, but midfield situation is interesting. Now, I go to you, Araceli. Your thoughts on the lineup? Do you see any changes potentially for LAFC?
I agree with Bam saying Bogus being moved to the midfield and bumping Tillman, given Sporting's midfield, assuming that Walter is going to be in the starting 11, that would be almost perfectly matched strength-wise. And for Martinez to take Bogus's place, I see that as a very strong possibility. As for the rest of the roster, I really don't see it that much change.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no change. I'll say it right now. I don't think you're going to see anything different. Bogus goes up top, and they're going to play it. To handle the overload on the right side for Kansas City, you're going to have Bouanga keeping them honest, right? Can't let him loose. Atuesta handling whatever overlap does occur. and then Campos, who we've seen him when he played at home, very competent and also returns favor. I think we're fine on that side. Handling Walter, of course, would be Hollingshead and Murillo, and yeah, Tillman would be in that spot, which puts the question: who defensively does better in that role? Would it be a Bogusz situation or a Tillman situation to handle Walter? Right? I mean, that's kind of the solution, and who handles that best. So either one, I'm confident with. I really am. It's just what do we want to show up front? Who wants to be the target man and who wants to be the winger? Again, we're not that set in our ways up top. Things flip around all the time, and that's the way we play. So I'll throw it back to the supporters as well. Where are you guys at? We definitely want to hear your comments on your lineup thoughts too, as we move forward. But that's kind of where we're at right now. It's is there going to be a change? Is it going to be the same? How's it going to line up against Kansas City? I just know for a fact that our guys are going to be coming out with a little level of fire here. They've got something to prove after taking a thumping 3-0. I don't think this is the kind of side that's going to respond negatively to that. They're going to come out hard charging and ready to go. I go back to you, Bam. Approach to this game. Do you think we're going to just simply play the counter and let them give what they can to us in the first half, or do you think we're going to go right hard at these guys?
I expect us for the first 10 minutes to hold back and see what they come with, and then just beat them into the ground the second half. I do see Okompu not starting. I see Eddie coming in. He's going to get a start at home. So for me, it'll be interesting to see what Dolo does decide to do, but I can see that there might be some changes from the last game definitely going into this game and us playing the more aggressive attacking side.
Okay. So if Campos does come out for this game, and we're saying Segura, I would think another player would have to get moved as well to make things balance out, right? On the back line?
No, I can see us finishing starting how we finished the last game with Segura in that position, just to have that little bit more of a knowledge in that position. So for me, it's more having some more of the older people in the back line, like Long, Murillo, Hollingshead, and Segura as a back line. They can jostle around a little bit, make them move around a little bit, and flow a lot more easier. So I if anything, I do see that as being a possible change.
Interesting. The other thing is we do have Palencia coming off the bench too. You could have a case where Hollingshead goes back to his old position to handle Russell, and and Valencia goes crazy on the right back situation. I mean, that is an option too, or Long takes a seat for Segura in this game, but I don't see that right now. I just don't. I think they really want the pairing from Long and Mario to work out, and they're not going to break it up for a while. I think unless there's a health situation. We shall see. We shall definitely see. I do see one comment from our supporters, so I will definitely throw that up there. Let's see what we got going on. There's an interesting one from our good friend Anthony Bermudez. This just adds a little wrinkle to the fun this weekend. According to someone, I love according to someone. They said Vela should be announced within the next couple of days. Oh, interesting. I guess he's back from his trip to the Caribbean. Okay. Not already he'll be, but that should be a fascinating situation. Does he dress on this or get a cool announcement and we get him into shape for later? I wouldn't be shocked by this, Anthony. Definitely if that's the case. I mean, I do think he wants to come back. It's just he doesn't seem like he's in a hurry. He just doesn't. Tony, do you think this has any shakeup involved or any concern for this match, or yeah, it's just outside news?
It's just outside news at the moment, just because it's Evan Vela. He's doing the best he like a couple years ago, 100%. I could say, oh, I'm excited for him to come back, but right now it's just like he'll show up when he will show up at this point, wherever he shows up. I know there was the rumor he was going to go to San Jose for a little bit, and there were talks for that, but at this point, we just got to focus on what is on the field and let the outside distractions just continue on until that happens.
If Uncle Carlos wants to be with the team, he'll be with the team. It's okay. We all love him anyway. But but we know we want to start this week. So there's that. Cool. Aristotle, anything you want to add to the match and to the situation with possibly Vela getting announced this week?
Not really.
Just ready for it. I mean, I know this is one of those games you were kind of like dreading it at the same time. Like, I know I'm going to watch, but you're right. It
Well, not
kind of,
necessarily dreading it, but in all honesty, it's like how I said a second ago that really that this weekend it could go either way. Sporting can come off very strong, or they could easily lay back the whole time. So I don't know. I mean, you guys know me. I'm always try to be a little mutual for these kind of matches, but hey, we shall see.
we shall see.
Pick
Exactly.
a side.
Pick a side. Yeah. The ultimatum. It is real. No. All good. We get it. We totally get it. Bam, final thoughts on the match itself before we get into our final thoughts of the episode as we close things out.
Final thoughts for the match. Everyone that's going to stadium, I would say take a jacket. It's a nighttime game, so checking the weather. It's supposed to get down to 50 degrees at night. So although you might be around there jostling for each other, celebrating, getting all hot and sweaty after the game, it's going to cool down. So make sure you have a jacket there to stay warm and so you don't get sick.
There it is. There it is. All right. So let's get to it. Episode, of course, is closing out as we always do. Tradition dictates our final comments of the day. And of course, our final word. It's what we do, people. All right. So, final thoughts. I'm going to go to Tony first this time. He's like, what? Yeah. Tony gets the final thoughts first. You break out with it, sir. What you got, man?
Final thoughts, of course, is let's have some fun, drink responsibly at the games because, it'll be a long tailgate and most of the time it's going, water is appreciated. I'd rather you have you full energized for the game so we can get back on the winning tally and keep going forward to the season to win multiple cups. And two things. One, of course, a transition to you know who. This second one is rest in peace, Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, and most of people's childhood. As growing up watching that, most kids watch that show. It was one of their first animes. He actually had a couple different games too that he was a part of. Very popular games. It's lost what the games are called at the moment, so apologies for that. But again, with him, it was cool to have that huge tifo honoring that, and then especially as well as him reposting that picture of us and like acknowledging that what we did, and like it was like again fanboy moment for most of us anime fans. So again, rest in peace. He was 68 years old, so it's kind of crazy. With that being said, like what, Bam?
Remember, it's okay to not be okay. Reach out to your mates, mental health and all that, especially now when someone from a lot of our childhood has passed away that we all grew up watching and all that kind of stuff. Some people will be taking it a lot harder than others. Don't belittle them for taking a bit more time with this. We all follow famous people. We all follow big names, all that kind of stuff. And when they do end up passing away, it can be hard for each other. So reach out to your mates. Bring them along to the game on Saturday. Have some fun. Go out for coffees. Go out for a walk. Or just go out and watch a couple of episodes of Dragon Balls. And just enjoy yourselves, guys. Remember, it's okay to not be okay. Mental health matters. Conversations can change a life.
There we go. Thank you, ma'am, for that. And yes, our condolences, without a doubt. Many affected by it. And again, yeah, one of those years, that's for sure. Already. Ursula, I'm going to pass it to you. Your final thoughts today.
My final thoughts are just like how I was saying, all last season with any home game, just please be safe. Don't be stupid. Always be sure that you have a plan to the stadium and from the stadium, whatever that may look like, an Uber ride, a ride with a friend, or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, have fun, stay safe, be warm from what it sounds like. Not only will you play KC, you'll also get our weather, so you're welcome. Otherwise, just have a great weekend. And of course, we're all saddened by the news of Dragon Ball Z. I'll say personally, I watched it as a kid. I wasn't close to it, but seeing the impact it's had, it's just been amazing. So I can only imagine the feelings that fans are experiencing right now.
Thank you. There we go. Which leaves it to me and my final thoughts. Ultimately, this is our first full match setup. We have a night game. We have the timing. We have the full tailgate. It's one of your traditional LAFC nights, right? So be wise with your actions. Enjoy the tailgate. Enjoy it. Just don't enjoy it too much. Remember, we do have to get into that stadium. We do have to make our noise. We do what we do best in there when we are at our best. So remember, we're there to perform when we're in the north end. For the rest of everybody else in that stadium, we want you to join in as well, get it as noisy as possible. After that tough game this past week, nothing would be better than to have everybody back our boys as much as possible. Let them bounce back. Help them bounce back. Let's get electric out there. Treat it like a playoff game. Let's get crazy with it. It will be a sellout. It will be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys all there once again. Do not hesitate to reach out to us when we're there and give us a conversation. We love the conversations. It is much appreciated. The more we hear from you guys, the better. You're the reason why we do what we do at the end of the day. So to me, to all of you guys, thank you for this blessed opportunity to keep promoting our club at the end of the day. So on that word, final word, Tony.
Stay golden, Los Angeles.
Bam.
Stay golden.
Araceli.
Stay golden.
And from me to all of you, stay golden, Los Angeles.
Thank you for listening to the Heart of LAFC. Make sure to leave us a rating and review on iTunes or Stitcher. Shoulder to shoulder, the black and gold is taking over.